Let's talk about a credit card, which could potentially earn you 10% back in specific categories for an entire year. That's right, it's like walking around with a coupon that gets you 10% off anything you buy within a specific category for a whole year. Does that sound too good to be true? Well, maybe it is. I'm talking about the Discover It Cashback Credit Card. And this card is known to be one of the best beginner credit cards that you can possibly get. However, like anything, there's more than meets the eye. And that's why I'm gonna take you top to bottom through this card to help you determine if this could be the next best card to add to your wallet and if getting 10% cash back is really worth it. In this video, I want to talk about 4 specific things. I'll take you inside the Discover It credit card and show you everything that you need to know about how it works. Then, I want to tell you the best possible strategy to maximize earnings for what you can do in the first year on this card, and then where to go from there. I'll show you the actual numbers of what you can expect to earn, and then how it compares to other top marketed beginner credit cards on the market today. Finally, I'll tell you my personal position on this card, what I've done, and how I'd look at this card myself if I were a complete beginner. Let's take a specific look at the Discover It card and see what it offers. Discover has quite a few versions of this card. Some of them differ in very small ways, and that's important to know when you're considering your options. You have the Discover It Cashback, which is the card we're talking about today. The Discover It Student Cashback, which is geared specifically towards students who are still enrolled in school and trying to build credit. You have the Discover It Secured Card, which is tailored towards people with poor credit scores or no credit history whatsoever. And then you have the Discover It Miles, which is the travel version of the cashback card, however, provides no transfer partners or enhanced redemption options. Out of these 4 cards, there's one that just stands head and shoulders above the rest, and that's the classic Discover It Cashback card. Here's how it works. This card has no annual fee, and it also has no sign-up bonus either, which is a major drawback right off the bat. A lot of its competitors in the beginner cashback card space have a sign-up bonus that will offer you anywhere between $200 and $300 within the first few months once you meet a minimum spend requirement. Now, Discover makes up for this on the back end, and I'll show you the numbers on exactly how they do that. But just keep that in mind. This card is famous for its 5% cash back earned in rotating categories. These categories rotate every 3 months, and the categories are completely of Discover's choosing. However, we can look historically, even just back at 2024, and see what the categories are, and that they're pretty reasonable for most people to get really good value out of. For example, in Q1 of 2024, we saw drugstores and restaurants pop up, before in Q2, moving into gas stations and electric vehicle charging, which was a big, easy spending category to hit for a lot of people. And then other popular ones like Walmart, grocery stores, and even Amazon as the holiday season came around at the end of the year. Now, one of the catches with this card is you actually have to go inside the app and activate the 5% cashback categories before the card registers it at those elevated earning rates. What I personally do is I set a reminder on my phone, and on January 1, April 1st, July 1st, and October 1st, I get an alert that it's time to go inside my Discover app and activate those categories so I'm maxing out the full possible benefits from this card. Now, unsurprisingly, outside the 5% back, which remember, you're capped at $1,500, you earn 1% cash back on every other purchase you make, or if you overspend your $1,500 for the quarter, that reverts back to 1% as well. The Discover It doesn't offer a long list of other benefits outside of those higher earnings categories. The card does have basic fraud protection and does offer 0% APR on balance transfers as well as purchases within the first 15 months. However, something I consistently talk about on this channel is that's not a benefit in my eyes, because the standard practice and habits we want to get into to maximize rewards and get the most from banks and issuers possible is to never carry a balance at all. And it's so important to build that muscle and get in those good habits early on. Let's talk about what you really want to hear though. Strategically, if you want to get the most possible out of this card, and then set yourself up for success in future years, what's the roadmap or strategy to do that? Fortunately, I can help you out there. Remember when I just said a slight weakness of the Discover It card was that it had no upfront sign-up bonus? Well, this is where the card starts to gain and really prove its value the longer you hold the card. Discover offers a cashback match in year 1, meaning that every single cent of cashback you've earned from the time you get approved and start using the card through 365 days will be automatically matched by the company. This is essentially the welcome bonus. However, instead of being front-loaded, it's back-loaded. But mathematically, it can earn you a whole lot more if you use the card correctly. Because this doubling of your cashback is so powerful, some people like to think of this card as earning 10% in rotating categories in year 1 and a flat 2% on everything else for just that first year. When you look at the card like that, the earnings rates are so high that actually the best strategy is to put all of your purchases right onto the Discover It in the first year. And by concentrating your spending there, you're getting the most possible benefit for the first 365 days of the year. However, after that first year is done, your strategy continues. You're gonna wanna add another versatile card to pair with your Discover It. You don't have to throw it away. It'll still earn you 5% back on those rotating categories, which, hey, that really can't be beat. 2% on every purchase is the baseline cashback you want to shoot for. The Wells Fargo Active Cash, Citi Double Cash, or Fidelity Visa are 3 great cards that you could consider acting on next. Or you could diversify your setup into a hybrid cashback and travel setup and look at getting a beginner travel card to start your journey on that side of things. The Capital One Venture Rewards is a nice intro card which earns you 2x miles flat on every purchase, or you could start in the Chase ecosystem, which is very beginner friendly as well, and pair the Chase Freedom Unlimited for 1.5x back on every purchase with the Chase Sapphire Preferred, which has a whole list of other travel benefits itself, to unlock a bunch of travel possibilities there that still pair really well with the Discover It. However, whether you decide to join Team Travel, keep your setup in all cash, or do a hybrid of the both, the Discover It card will deserve a long-term spot in your wallet for years to come. If this all feels a little intimidating or even confusing, I made a specific video about how to build a budget travel card setup that I suggest you check out after watching this one. Now that you heard the year 1 strategy and what you'll need to do in years 2 and beyond, let's talk about really, is this worth it? If you want to get in the credit card game, you have to start somewhere. And starting with a good quality beginner credit card is one of the things that people attribute to long-term success in the credit card game. I'll do the work for you and compare the Discover It to 2 different types of beginner credit cards that you'll often see. The standard flat cashback card, which earns the same on every purchase, or another competitor, similar to the Discover It, that offers rotating categories and a different type of point and bonus structure. For the flat cashback card, let's look at the Wells Fargo Active Cash, and for the rotating category card, to compare to the Discover It, let's look at the Chase Freedom Flex. Up on your screen now, you'll see a bunch of different numbers, and these are the cashback earnings for the typical average spender in America. The Bureau of Labor Statistics projects that one single person spends just over $34,000 a year. Based on that, you can see that competitors to the Discover It, the Chase Freedom Flex, and the Wells Fargo Active Cash both offer early on sign-up bonuses of $200, which will hit and give them a slight head start on the Discover It. They also have strong year 1 earnings, with the Chase Freedom Flex coming in a little under the Wells Fargo Active Cash when you push all that together. However, even though the base earnings of the Discover It don't top out and lead this group, you can see what the cashback match does in doubling your year 1 cashback earnings and blowing past the other 2 mathematically, making it the best cashback card out of these 3 that you can choose here. Again, depending on your personal spending habits, this number will vary. If you spend less than the typical American, the Discover It card may not be as impactful with that cashback match. However, if you expect you'll spend more, that cashback match even becomes more powerful and that much more of a good option than the other 2. By the way, one thing that can really help even boost these earnings further is using my referral link in the description of this video, which offers a private $100 statement credit that is not publicly available otherwise when you'd go and apply for the card. Let me give you some final thoughts and perspective as to what I would do if I were considering a beginner credit card. This card isn't all roses and daisies. It's not gonna make you rich. In fact, of course, you still have to spend the money to earn just a small fraction of cash back to put back in your pocket. Treat this card like you would any debit card, and you'll set yourself on the right path. From personal experience, I also can't go without mentioning that this card is not as easy to manage as a flat 2% cashback card would be. With that, you can spend passively, include others in your family or your significant other, and they don't really have to think when they're going to pay or check out. However, with the Discover It, especially after year one, you've got to get on the same page with others who spend on that account and make sure they're specifically targeting the rotating categories and link everybody up as to what those categories are, because they do switch every 3 months. I personally use an app called Card Pointers, link below in the description there to learn more, to help manage my pretty complex wallet setup, and I found that this can be helpful in identifying when and where to use which card. No matter what your system, just know that this is an extra thing to consider. I also want to say that Discover is not typically accepted abroad, so if you are planning on spending considerable time outside the US, you're going to want another option. Visa cards are really good in that regard. While you do want to consider those drawbacks, the best parts of this card are the fact that the numbers don't lie. Mathematically, for a lot of people, it's going to be the best option to get your foot in the game. And I will say, despite having a little bit of extra work to make sure we're being very intentional about the categories, my wife and I do enjoy this card. Just the other month, I redeemed about $85 in statement credit back, and having that cash back add up so quickly, that makes a real difference in our lives. Finally, this was my wife's first credit card, and because it has a $0 annual fee, she can keep it open indefinitely, extending the length of her credit history, thus boosting her credit score, and feeling no pressure about whether to keep it or drop it as she builds out her own wallet setup. Thanks so much for watching. I hope this brought you a lot of value, and if you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more.